It's another edition of the Boston Celtics Roundtable. Don't look now. The Celtics are somehow, someway tied with the Cleveland Cavaliers for first place in the East, and they've got the easiest schedule left. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen? I'm Jonathan Levy. I'm here to talk about it with Jonathan and Matthew Ignall here on the Roundtable. Guys, the Celtics just beat the Miami Heat in a tough, hard-fought game. It's their fourth win in a row. They're looking really good, but I could not help but notice the intense lack of rim protection and how the Heat continually exploited it. It looked like Tyler Johnson went to the hoop, I don't know, between 100 and 200 times and was successful pretty much every time. Can the Celtics survive can the Celtics essentially go deep in these playoffs, the upcoming NBA playoffs, with this lack of rim protection, or is it ultimately going to come back and bite him in the butt? Jonathan, I'm going to start with you.
It was the Johnson show tonight. It wasn't just Tyler. It was James as well. James Johnson in the fourth quarter got to the rim at will. I think it's a problem, but no team is perfect, and the Celtics have built their team where they don't really have that rim protector, but we see it in flashes, including that last play with Al Horford. I believe Amir and Al can be that rim protector. No, they didn't show it tonight, but I think with the uptick in the defensive effort and just defensive execution, I don't think it will be a big problem. Matt, what do you think?
I mean, today I thought it was a function of effort, mainly. The Celtics didn't come out the right way in the game against the Heat. Levy was right that they allowed way too much going on inside. Like, Kelly Olynyk was just soft underneath today. He had a good shooting night, but he was a minus 18 on the floor, which is kind of surprising given that he only played 14 minutes and hit 4 out of his 7 shots, including a 3. I think it's mainly a function of effort, and that kind of waxed and waned in the Heat game, but the Celtics did turn it on late. I think they were pretty good on defense for at least most of the night. Only 17 points for Miami in that third quarter, which was probably the key stretch in that game.
I don't know if it's just effort. I didn't see guys not trying, at least in my opinion, at all. What I saw was the Johnson brothers, just like you guys are the Ignall brothers, maybe from another mother with those guys anyway, just having no fear at all about going to the hoop. Like Tyler Johnson's just like, no one's going to block this shot, so I'm just going to go up, and I'm just going to keep going up. And it seemed like James Johnson was thinking the same thing. And they were right, because those guys were highly effective and kept the game close, actually got the Heat back into it. And then ultimately, they did lose. But, man, those guys tore up the Celtics. And Celtics are going to have to get their defensive ducks in a row better than they did tonight. That's for sure.
I think Kelly needs to find a new strategy, because putting your hands straight up and backpedaling isn't working for him.
That's his thing, man. That's his thing. That's what he does. That's what he does well.
He gets called for a foul in that almost every time.
No, he doesn't.
He fouls guys sometimes. Sometimes I agree with you, Jonathan. There are calls that seem really tough, although that's the NBA, in fairness. But he never fouls a guy very hard unless the guy's name is Kevin Love. Otherwise it's like, the guy's always going to make the layup because Kelly's trying not to foul them. So he may make contact, he may not, but the guys always have a clean look at the hoop either way. Unlike most of the time, like if Al Horford fouls you, you feel it, and there's value in that for sure because at least you got to go earn it and there's no three-point play most of the time.
Jonathan, what's your question?
All right. So although he was a healthy DNP against the Heat on Sunday, Brad Stevens suggested that Tyler Zeller is seeing minutes because he wants to gear him up for the playoffs. Guys, are we really comfortable with Tyler Zeller playing any playoff minutes this season?
There is no matchup in the world where I would want to see Tyler Zeller. In any sport, in any game, video games, if he's playing the video game, if he's a character in the video game, I don't want him around because it means you're in trouble. That guy sucks at most things, except, I guess, getting paid because he's making $8 million this year, and he's probably going to continue to make around $8 million for the foreseeable future because of the new economics of the NBA. It's funny. This was going to be one of my questions too, Jonathan. Tyler Zeller, I have been off the Zeller train for a solid year and change at this point, a good year and a half.
2 years, yeah.
I've never really seen any reason at all to get back on it. Even when he's playing in quotes well, like he had a good game a few games ago where he, had that incredible dunk on the transition and blocked a shot and did some things okay. He's still taking long twos early in the shot clock because he's open, and somehow that's a good thing. It's like Marcus Smart's brain and Tyler Zeller's body, except without any of the coordination or athleticism. It's brutal. I don't want the guy anywhere near the playoffs at all, except in emergency situations. I can't really come up with many teams also where we would need him. Maybe the Cavs, when the Cavs are putting out Tristan Thompson. I don't know. I'm not sure why Brad Stevens is claiming that Zeller would be necessary. As I look over the teams who are going to make the playoffs in the East. There's nobody who's got all these, destructive bigs. The Bucks with Greg Monroe, is that what we're afraid of? I don't understand.
You can race him down the floor, but you want to put him up against Tristan Thompson?
I mean, I don't want to put him up against anybody.
But if you had to, I think Tristan Thompson would be like the last guy. Yeah, no one on Zeller Island is on this pod today, so I'm in agreement with you guys. It seems like maybe you can break the Tyler Zeller glass if the team is a little sluggish. Maybe that's the one thing where I feel okay about it. But I generally cringe when I see him checking in.
Well, it's not like they don't have other options. Like, you look down the roster, if you don't want Jonas Repko because he's too small, and obviously Jordan Mickey's not going to play. The guy's Amir Johnson. He's only averaging 20 minutes on the season, and he's more versatile, a better player, obviously. I feel like those minutes should go to Amir Johnson as opposed to Zeller, right?
I agree, especially the way Amir is playing lately. He's got a lot more spring in his step these last few games, especially. He looks healthier. He's running faster. He's jumping a little bit better. He's getting up quicker when he falls to the ground. I think he's feeling healthy, maybe because it's been a long haul for him with his ankles and his legs and all that. But also he hasn't played a lot of minutes this year, and maybe he's feeling okay as we get into the stretch run. But I would greatly prefer Amir Johnson. But I prefer everybody. I'm all on the Jordan Mickey bus here, too. That guy can at least block shots and, doesn't suck as much as Tyler. I'll take it. If it has to be a big man, I prefer Jordan.
I think the Jordan Mickey bus is currently in Maine right now.
I have a question for the listeners. Just how good is the SeatGeek ticketing app? What makes it so great? Is it that it's the smartest way to get the tickets or the easiest way to get tickets to every Celtics game? Well, I don't know, but I will say this. With its seamless mobile experience, you can buy and sell tickets in just 2 taps. So it might be that, but it also might be that it doesn't end with the Celtics or any other NBA game, because you can also get concert, comedy, and theater tickets. And of course, it's all fully guaranteed. You listeners can support this Boston Celtics Roundtable production and get a $20 rebate off their first SeatGeek purchase. Here's how. Download the free SeatGeek app, go to the Settings tab, and click Add a Promo Code, and enter that promo code CELTSNEWS, all one word, and SeatGeek will send you $20 after you've made your first ticket purchase. Download the free SeatGeek app and enter promo code CELTSNEWS today.
So the Celtics against the Heat, I thought they just came out looking like a little sluggish, like they didn't respect the Heat enough, and they were eventually able to get into it and really had a nice third quarter to really put the game in their control. The Celtics could be facing the Miami Heat in round 1 of the playoffs. It's definitely on the table. Are you at all worried, guys, that in game 1 the Celtics just aren't going to take the Heat seriously enough because they've been so successful against them recently, winning every game against them over the past couple of years?
Boy, I hope not. People are talking about the Celtics as a really nice regular season team, but don't have the punch for the playoffs. And Isaiah's too small to get it done, and they're just not good enough to win a playoff series. So if the Celtics come out flat, they're proving people right. They haven't won a playoff series under Brad Stevens. They know how good this Heat team is. They've played them now, 3 times?
Yep.
3 times, yeah. The Heat are good. The Heat play hard. The Heat play the way the Celtics did when Isaiah Thomas wasn't the Isaiah Thomas of now. They bust their ass each and every possession, it seems.
Right, so couldn't you say that the Heat are a really nice regular season team because they kind of punk teams by taking them a little bit by surprise? I don't want to jinx the Celtics here.
Sure, but last year they had Dwayne Wade, and obviously Wade left, but Hassan Whiteside had a huge playoffs last season, and I think he's probably going to do it again, and who knows, Dion Waiters, he's so unpredictable, he could go off in any minute, so I think they're legit. Goran Dragic's a really nice player, but I got to be honest, throwing Luke Babbitt out there and putting him on Al Horford doesn't really scare me. So I'm not worried about the Heat, but I think that they're not to be taken for granted because they are they're a good team.
If the Celtics come out sluggish in game 1 against the Heat, if indeed they meet in the first round, that's on Brad Stevens, guys. Ultimately, he's the coach. His job is to get this team ready for the playoffs. If they're not ready to go in game 1 at the buzzer, at the tip, that's on him as much as it's on anybody else. I don't expect that to be the case. This whole notion of sluggishness, I don't really buy into anyway. You were talking about effort before. I don't buy into that either. I think it's basketball. It's a high-variance game, sometimes the shots go in, sometimes they don't. When the threes are dropping, everyone feels good about the Celtics. When the threes aren't, we look for, holes and things to point and pick apart. But, a lot of the Celtics games are decided, it feels like, by 2 or 3 points. They're point differential on the season is 2.7, which is not bad, but not really a 48-26 team either. Like, most of the time, a 2.7 differential is going to be a much worse record than that, or somewhat worse record than that. So they're winning a lot of very close games, and, it's like a made shot here or a bounce there, and the Celtics are winning most of those, and it's great. And part of it is because they're a great free throw shooting team. Part of it is because in the fourth quarter, at least through most of the season, Isaiah has been godlike. Part of it is because I think Brad Stevens does draw up amazing plays and is a great coach. Jay Crowder is death at the end of games. These are all really good things, but ultimately, the Celtics are just a very good team. They're not a great team. Even if they are ultimately the number one seed in the East, they're not a great team yet. That's okay. I hope they will be soon, but I don't think this is the year they're ever going to be a great team. So I don't think, like, when they're down 10 to the Heat, actually they were down 15, which was pretty brutal, by the way, in the middle of the second quarter against the Heat, that means the Celtics aren't trying or they're sluggish. It just means they're missing some shots. They're taking a lot of threes. It's a high variance game, man.
Wow. I'm surprised at your philosophy about what wins and loses games. I agree with you to a certain extent, but I also think that there are times where the Celtics do come out and play with a lot of passion, and that there are other times where they're sort of just going through the motions, and I think that's reflected in many different ways on the court. But anyway,
I was at the game today, and the first half, it was clearly an effort thing, because the way they came out in the second half, they just looked like a completely different team. And 17 points, I think, they only gave up in the third quarter, and it just seemed like a conscious effort to hit the loose balls harder, to hit the glass. All right, so the Nets have 9 games to go left in the season, and are 7-10 since Jeremy Lin has come back from injury. Only 5 games left, or only 5.5 games back from the Lakers. My question is to you, Jonathan Levy. Is it time to worry?
Absolutely not. I know the Lakers are in full-on take mode. I know the Nets are trying. By the way, on the day we're recording this, which is Sunday, the Nets just went to Atlanta and won by 15 in Atlanta. This is a Hawks team that is really trying to win games right now. They're fighting for seeding themselves. But no, it is absolutely not time to worry. Don't freak out, everybody. There just aren't very many games left in the season. They're 5.5 back. They've played, 73 games. Okay, there's 9 left. The Brooklyn Nets, who are the worst team in the league, are not going to make up 5.5 games on anybody. No matter, the Lakers can lose out. The Nets are not going to win the 6 games. They're not going to do it. So you don't have to worry about it. It's going to be okay. By the way, the Lakers won the other night. They're probably going to win at least one more, and the Nets just aren't good enough to pull this off. The Nets would have to be, they have to go 6-3 the rest of the way. How in the world? They've won 16 games all season, and they've been trying all season. The other thing, too, is it'd be a lot of hand-wringing over, very small changes percentage-wise in these seedings. Yes, the Celtics could get the 5th pick if they somehow, some way, Brooklyn caught the Lakers. But the difference between the one pick is 25% to 20%. Sure, it's 5% you'd rather have, but it's not a huge deal. The second pick overall, it's a 3% difference. It's not worth freaking it. It's less than 1% for the 3rd spot. Just not a huge thing. Marcus Smart in his last 5 games is shooting 24% from the field, guys, in 28 minutes a game. Oh, it's so brutal. And he's shooting 4 threes a game and hitting 20% of them. I feel like everything Zaire says about Marcus Smart feels like it's coming to pass.
Get it all out now, Marcus. Get it all out now. So it's all about the playoffs, but it is kind of disappointing to see that, I guess we hoped, given his play in December and January, that Smart had really turned a corner, but after the All-Star break, not encouraging. He's going to have to go again into this summer thinking progress on his jump shot form, because it doesn't look as pretty as it did.
Maybe
he's got to kind of go back to the drawing board there.
Maybe he needs to put the dip back in his shot. Who knows?
No, he's got it back though. That's what he's doing.
It's just tough to watch. It's just tough to watch him, honestly, and Rozier. Rozier's also a terrible shooter. Rozier's athletic. I don't know how much longer he's going to be on this team, guys. Thanks for listening to the Boston Celtics Roundtable. If you liked what you heard, get on iTunes, give us a 5-star review. We'd really appreciate it. Keeps the show going. Makes a difference. That was Jonathan Ignall and Matthew Ignall. I'm Jonathan Levy. We'll see you tomorrow for another edition of Celtics Roundtable. Until then, sayonara.